Hello everybody and welcome back. I'm Lincoln and today we're going to be working on this orc. Now I want to change his ears up. I have human ears on here right now and you can get these with my male and female template heads on my Gumroad page. Now if you want to go download those, go ahead, they're free, go grab them. The other thing we're going to do today though is I'm going to show you how to sculpt these from scratch if you like. So we're going to do a little nomenclature and then show you how to break the rules properly so it looks believable, and we're going to get into it. So let's go. All right, first thing, we're going to come in and turn these ears off because we don't need those. We're going to add a cylinder, and when we do that, it's obviously going to be inside the head. So we'll go over here and turn on solo. Now I guess I should probably go ahead and turn the lights off because those are a little distracting. Okay, and bring this up just a little bit more. Okay, so now that we have a cylinder in here, we're going to go ahead and bring up the subdivision quite a bit. We need to be able to sculpt on this a little bit already from the beginning, so we can go and validate that. Now, you can turn on wire and see that we've got enough that it'll probably be okay. So the biggest thing is check, whoops, that was way too big for the paint. Bring it down. Yeah, so it'll look good for paint. Okay, so grab the gizmo, shrink it down, and it can be fairly thin. And we're going to go to the front view. Now if you use the home, I like using the home button a lot, and that's just the little house here. Makes it a lot easier. So now that we have this set, we're going to turn on snapping. Make sure that you're at 90 degrees, and you can change it here if you need to. And just snap this to the front. That way we have a front view we can always just go to when we're in solo to work on this ear. So let's squeeze this in, and that should be fine for now. That's a good start. We're already in the gizmo menu, so we'll have the clone button, so hit clone. We're going to bring this over, and this is for the back of the ear. Now we need to stretch him out and bring him down, and this doesn't matter a ton right now, but you need something in here. Now, depending on which way your ear is facing, you know, the main plane of your ear is out here, and this part is coming from your head to the ear on the outside. I mean, it's obviously all part of it, but it needs to be angled just a little bit. So you can look here on this view, and something like that's fine. Now it's going to be in the way, and I want to sculpt this separate from the rest of the ear because it gets really confusing if it's on there. So for now, we'll just go tap on this main part we're working on, go solo, it'll bring everything up, hit solo again, and now you're on the main part. Hit your home. Okay, now I have a reference image in here, and we're just going to use this real quick to show you how everything works. So let's scale this down and slide it over. And you can see here that I have all of the parts of the ear labeled, the main parts. Let's grab the paint. So you can see here, we want the, whoops, let's turn off symmetry. The helix is the main part of the outside of the ear. You have the anti-helix, which kind of comes up beside it like this and splits in a Y. Then you have the tragus, the anti-tragus, and then the ear canal. Now on those, let's go just a darker color so we know that we're going to go down with those. So this is the ear canal, and then in here you have the concha right here, and that kind of goes around both sides right here, just kind of works that. And then, you know, this is down, this area is kind of down. It really depends on how you want to go from there. All right, so the main thing you want to do is, now that you kind of have your reference points on there, we really don't need this. You can leave it off to the side if you want. I'll just leave it so we have kind of a reference to look at. You could also slide it under here and scale it if you wanted it behind, just as easy. So let's grab the move brush, increase the size, and we'll just kind of start pushing things around. Now you see that this is moving if we get off to the side. So hit the home to fix that, because it's kind of tough when you're working on the edge. Push and hold on your view cube or view sphere, whichever one you have chosen, and then you're able to scale in and out, and it doesn't move around on you. So here we can just kind of start moving moving this around. And I think it's easier just kind of start with the basic ear shape and then start adding your height and depth to everything. And it's totally up to you how you want to work, but this is how I like to do it. And you can see part of it there. You know, we've got the tragus and anti-tragus here kind of messed up a little bit, but that doesn't really matter too much. All right, next step is grab some clay, and I like to move all of my brushes together so you can click and drag them around on here. And we're going to be using the move, the smooth, the clay, and the flatten, and the crease. So those are kind of all our brushes we're going to use. So I kind of put them all together so I can quickly go back and forth. So let's go ahead and remesh. I'm just going to tap on the remesh here. That'll straighten all our mesh out. Let's grab the flatten brush. I'm going to unlock it. And we're just going to slowly, oops, got a little too much. So let's go over here to the filter and go to front facing vertex only. And we'll just kind of go around and flatten this all the way around. And you don't have to do this a ton right now, but it does kind of help to kind of start placing everything. We'll remesh again. I'm going to go ahead and hit the back side a little. This kind of helps get the first part of your ear shape set. Alright, now we can grab the smooth brush. Still looking for my brushes. Now you'll see here that the smooth brush will affect your paint a little bit, but it's just on the edge, so it doesn't really matter too much. Okay, so now to kind of get the basic outline of the shape done, let's see, let's go ahead and move this up a little bit more. Move this out, because we kind of flattened it out normally inadvertently. Now you'll notice, you know, ears will have flat spots here and there. You know, it's already kind of, a lot of times they'll already be kind of shaped like this. This is like the perfect ear. So most ears aren't exactly perfect, and they're generally not symmetrical from side to side. All right, so that's not bad. Let's grab the clay brush now, bring it down, turn off sub. I had it on sub there, and just kind of start working. Now, if you want, you can put this all one color whenever you like. I'm going to leave it a little bit just so we can kind of see where we want. And you can completely work however you want. This is just one way of doing this. This just gets it done quickly. Turn brush on sub, kind of knock some of this down. You know, once you kind of get the basic layout of the ear and all your main parts, then you can go ahead and paint this, and it's fine. Turn back, and you'll see here how I have the sub. You know, I like having it right there by my hand, and you can, if you're left-handed, you know, you can swap these menus. It makes it easier. I just like having it right here because I can tap and go. Sub. You can use the move brush on this a lot, you know, if you like. However, like I said, however you like to work. All right, you can see here that the wire is starting to get stretched, so let's remesh it. All right, at this point, this is good. Let's go ahead and just repaint this. So let's go over to white, give it just a little bit of shine, and paint all. All right, so you can see we already have a pretty good ear set up already. And it obviously needs some tweaking, but you've got all the main players here, and that's what you're looking for. So like I said, to make a believable ear, you kind of need to know the rules, and you don't necessarily need to know the names of everything, but you just need to know what they are and where they go. So here we go. Now, to get, you know, the tragus and the anti-tragus and the helix all kind of sit over the top of everything else. So if we bring this up, we can kind of start with a move brush, kind of start bringing things in. And it just depends on where you zoom in and zoom out. You can start moving these things in a little bit and get a little bit more shape. Now they're going to kind of flatten out and get thin, and that's fine. It doesn't matter too much right now because you can always just grab the clay brush and add some clay. Alright, so that obviously needs some clay right there. And you know, feel free to use that. Whoops, don't want that. I want sub. You know, feel free to change this up as you need to, obviously. And turn off the wire at this point. You really don't need it. Alright, so now if I smooth this right now, you can see everything kind of goes away. Now if I don't want to do that, remesh it first and then smooth, and your topology will stay a little closer to what you moved it to instead of going away as much. Now if I want to sink that ear canal in a little bit better, use the surface normal button, and you don't have to turn this as much. And you can see there we're already starting to go to the back side of the ear. So we'll turn around right here and we'll just increase the clay right here. And voila, you get a nice deep ear canal. And from here, really, it just depends on where you want to go. With this is a basic ear. You can save this. This is a good way to have parts and pieces ready to go for your sculpts. And I really do recommend having the ears separate from your sculpts at the beginning, because then you can change the shapes much easier. You don't have to mask off the head. It's already separate. You can do it a low poly version and then go in and move things easier. So now that we have this, we can go ahead and kind of, whoops, I need to turn off surface normal. Turn this off and start moving this. Now the helix usually has a bit of a crease to it, and it's usually up over the rest of the ear by quite a bit. So kind of bring that in, use the crease brush and use it pretty high strength, and you'll notice my my alpha is a soft dot, and that's one that I've made. Whoops, I'm getting a little too crazy with it. Come in here. Now because the topology is not real heavy yet, it's going to want to suck in. So what we need to do is come up, and now that we've kind of based this out, you know, take it up to maybe 300. Don't worry about keeping the edges sharp. It's an ear, so we don't want sharp, harsh edges if we can avoid it. And you'll see now we can push a lot easier. Get that crease going. And then here, these always have kind of a deep pocket behind them on the anti-tragus. And that's already going to have it kind of just because of what we had going. So remesh, and we'll smooth a little bit. And that's kind of your basic ear. Kind of go work from there. Now the helix will come around and kind of work its way in here like this all the way around. And it depends on the ears. Everybody's ears are a little bit different. So it depends on what kind of reference you want to use. You know, you want to use your own ears, you find a reference online, wherever you want to do. Okay, so from there, I'm going to call that good. All right, at that point, we have just a regular ear going. And I'm going to go ahead and start pulling and pushing this and turn it into an orc ear. And we're going to get rid of this because we don't need that background image. It's just kind of in the way now. All right. So the biggest thing with this is, you know, find some reference for this. And I have one that I was looking at, you know, kind of at the same time I was doing the orc. So find some reference for an orc ear if you like. Now, the other thing with this is we need to move this around a little because we still have kind of a, you know, the ear is going to be shaped a little bit more than this, obviously. So you can start moving this around. Now the lobes usually come off the head at an angle pretty good angle, so you can kind of tweak these around. And it really depends, you know, some people's ears, the anti-tragus, or the anti-helix rather, sticks out further than the helix. And some people's, the helix and the anti-helix are about the same. Depends on the ear and what you want to follow. And then here, the top of the helix is generally out. I mean, it's really, that's about right there. That's really kind of where you want to put it. And from there, I'm going to start stretching and pulling. So it's really just a matter of what you want it to look like. I'm going to give it a little bit of a curve out. Now you can see I have a little bit of a ridge on the back side of the ear. I'm going to take care of that right now. So let's grab the flattened brush, bring the brush size down, and just kind of start knocking this down. And the back side of the ear really is just however much detail you want to have on it and how much you're going to see it with your sculpt and how you want to position it. That's not too bad. Yeah, I want that to be much pointier. So let's get after the move brush a lot more here. And really it just kind of depends on the size of your move brush and what you want this to look like. Really, that's kind of the big factor here. Now, with you having already using, you know, the anatomy of the ear to create this, you've already got most of what you need in place to make this, you know, believable. So, you know, you can adjust the helix a little bit. Like I want to change this up some. Now if we look at the wire, you can see we're starting to stretch a little bit. You might as well just revoxel. Alright, so we grab the clay, and I'm going to just kind of work this a little bit more. So I feel like this would be a little bit stronger right here. Now if you want, you know, this is the part where you can start breaking the rules a little bit. Obviously we're breaking the rules to make it a big ear, but big pointed ear, but you can come in, you can give this anti-helix a little bit more shape to it. Like there. I'm going to remesh because I got a little pocket starting to form right there. Right here. Alright. So kind of smooth all this up. And I'm going to flatten this part of the helix down a little bit. Where are we at? There we go. Flatten this down. Probably a little excessive. Now these parts would probably just kind of fade off into a point on the helix. Depends on what you want it to look like. And you know, if you like it or not, and I don't know, you can maybe have a little bit of look to it. So let's give it a little bit of clay again. Maybe just kind of slowly bring it down to a slow point. Grab the crease. Just a little softer than what it was. It was a real hard edge. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and add the back on. So let's see, that's the other cylinder. So this one. And if we come up, and we'll just go and box and merge those around 300 will be fine. And like I said, you don't need to use, oh, I forgot to move that around first. So on this one, let's use the move tool, and you just want to kind of bring it in and shape it. And it really depends on if you have some reference for the back of the ear, but you know, this is just going to get pulled into the ear, so you have something for the back of it. And on this side, just use the clay. I usually use the clay brush, clay brush and just knock that back. And that's pretty good. It's already starting to look pretty decent. And then take the flattened brush here in just a second. Oops, I need the move brush. And you can use the flattened brush and the move brush and just kind of give this a little bit of shape to it, like that. And that's probably fine. I'll probably just leave it like that. Most of this is going to get stuck into your head, the sculpt of your head anyway. So it doesn't matter a ton, especially on this side, on the front side. Doesn't really make a big difference. And just kind of look at how it would shape next to the ear. And this is usually, should be a little bit further back, you know, supporting more of the ear. And really, that's just up to you, however you want it to work. So that looks good. So we're going to go ahead and merge these two together. Actually, I want more clay. I want these two clays to meet a little bit more. Let's move this up just until it's up to the edge, because that's the only part that's really important on the front, like this, where it's going to your ears, to the head. All right, let's go ahead and box and merge, and that'll be pretty good right there. Now just take the smooth brush and just work around these edges where the two meet. The rest of it's not really going to matter. It'll, like I said, it'll be inside your sculpt. All right, so at that point, that's pretty much it. Now, let's go ahead and unsolo everything. Go to the front or the home. And here, we'll just name this Orc Ear. There we go. And use the gizmo and let's pull it out. Now obviously we need to move that, so we'll use the snap and just snap it around just to get it close. Now from here, really, you know, the general rule is the top of your ear is going to be somewhere between the eyebrow and the center of the eye, and the bottom of the ear will be somewhere around the nose. But I had stretched his face a little bit, and this is part of one of those things where you want to figure out how you want to break the rules or not. Now, these little dimples right here, I usually do that when I have the ears on the regular sculpt. That way you kind of know where they're at. And most of the time, you're going to want to put your ears at the jawline, where the jawline turns right here. Line the front of your ear up with the corner of the jawline with a slight angle. And that's roughly all you need to know about, you know, the main placement of the ear. So we'll suck this in right here. And that looks about right. It's right up to the edge of the jaw. Bring it up, bring it over. And really it's just, from here, it's just a matter of where do you want it and what do you want it to look like. Now obviously you don't want the helix to be right at the ear, and you know, you don't want it like this obviously. You want it out a little bit, and you can always move that in. But you can see that this looks pretty decent. I'll move this over. And earlobes can be separate. They can kind of tie into the head. That's another one of those things that's a little different. You can see the back looks really natural. That's a natural looking ear. And I think for here, we're going to turn his ear out a little bit more. So let's go back to the gizmo, turn him out a little bit, maybe bring him out like this. I like that better. Yeah, that looks perfect. And let's increase the size a little and bring it up. And if we go to the home, this is kind of where you look and see where you want it. I'm going to squeeze it down a little bit, and you'll notice it'll kind of kick the top of the ear out, which is a nice look. And I'm going to shoot for the earlobe to be between the bottom of the nose and the lips. So somewhere about right there. And that's a pretty nice natural looking ear. Now you can see we have a little bit of a hole right here, a couple holes to deal with. So click on the head, use the clay, bring it down on sub, and just sub that out. Turn it on normal. And let's just fill this in. And we'll smooth that out. Move it And that's all I'm going to worry about right there. I'm just kind of fixing this a little bit. I'll fix that later. So that gets you one ear. Now, to bring it to the other side, I'm going to show you, there's a trick to this. All right, so we have the new, you have all the parent and children thing you can do now. We'll put this up here, and I'm going to bring this right up to the head. These two will get the other ears. We'll just get rid of those. All right, so the ear. Now, at this point right here, since it's a child to the head, normally if you go to try and do the mirror, you gotta have a mirror right there on the ear. So that's not what we want, obviously. So what you want to do is grab this. Actually, I think I have to grab them both. But if you have the head, the ear separate from the head, and do the mirror, now the mirror will work properly on the center. The problem is if you already have it as a child at the head, the ear won't properly mirror. So it's just a quick little thing. So all we have to do here is validate it, and then you have choices. You can join these two together so the ears are the same. I would recommend keeping them separate, so you can either keep instances or uninstance. Keep instances. If you do that, if you change one ear, the other one's going to change with it, just like they were joined basically. Uninstance is where I would keep it, and we'll just hit confirm. And now we can drag this to the head and we're good. It's fine. And then we open up the group and we have the two ears, a child to the head, and we're all set. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and showing you how to do the ears on here. Now, like I said, go to my Gumroad page. You can go find my male and female template heads. I already have the ears and the eyes separate from the head. Makes it super easy to sculpt on. All right, if you guys are enjoying these tutorials, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. All right, thanks.